Time to look at the infamous box model, something so many students run into problems with. It's a little complicated, which is why so many students have issues with it. I'm just going to cover it. I'm not going to do it inside of our first site folder. I'm actually going to just reference W3 schools and use their example to walk through different ways that you can manipulate the box model. So let's quickly go here and we'll just type in box model W3 schools. And it's the very first one. All right, so here you have the CSS box model. You have an image, which again, remember, if we inspect elements, we actually see this very same image inside of our Google Developer Tools at the bottom right. So just reading really quickly what this is. So the content of the box is where the text and images appear. The padding clears an area around the content. The padding is transparent, and the padding is inside of the border. It's really important to remember. The border goes around the padding and the content. And the margin clears an area outside of the border. So the margin is transparent. It pushes away other elements that might be near this particular element. If we scroll down a little bit, we see this example. Let's just jump right into it. All right, here we go. So they have the background color light gray. They have the width of this div to be 300 pixels. The height naturally fits to whatever height the font or the text is. So we can just write more text and make it taller, but I'm fine with that amount. Border is 25 pixels thick, and it's solid navy blue. Padding is 25 pixels thick as well, and the padding is within the border. So the border is this blue lines going around it, and the padding is within it, and the content is the text itself. Let's quickly take a look at our developer tools and see what it has to say about this. Okay, so here we have this. Let's look at margin first. All right, so we'll click on this. So margin is everything that's orange. Now, margin actually only extends to 25 pixels here, but it still goes orange. That's just something that the developer tools always do, so you can just ignore that. The important part, though, is this 25 pixel orange color going all around it. So if there was, say, an element right below it, it would be pushed down by 25 pixels automatically. So let's take a look at the border now. So the border is the gray section. Normally, you would not have 25 pixels thick border. That's a little much. Honestly, you wouldn't want to go more than 1 pixel, and we'll just see the results. That looks a lot more normal. A lot of times, style-wise, a lot of people even just remove borders completely now because of flat design. So that's one way you could go. And navy, also, I'm not a big fan of that. Let's just make it black. It's also pretty standard as well. I like gray, something to kind of blend in. And then we have margin 25 pixels going all the way around. What this is saying is padding 25 pixels, saying, all right, on every side, I want it to have a padding of 25 pixels. Same thing with margin, just 25 pixels. On every side, I want margin of 25 pixels. But what if you want a bigger margin somewhere in particular, right? So let's say we have 25 pixels there, and right below it, we'll add padding top 100 pixels. Now remember, this is CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, a rule that follows after the initial one will take priority. So while there was originally 25 padding on top, now because we did it afterwards, it's going to be 100 pixels for padding. So when we scroll down, there it is. So that's the padding right there. And when we go back here, well, let's click on the element, and it shows up right there. You can also manipulate it from within here too. Now you can do 1 padding or something like that. Just to show you what 0 padding looks like. Let's delete this. That's what 0 padding looks like. So padding separates the border and the content. So it's really critical to have padding. It just looks a lot more normal. It's a lot easier to read too. So you definitely want to use some padding on your elements. Border is already pretty self-explanatory. It does have 3 rules though in one. You can actually make it to have multiple rules, but this is really the best way to go about doing it. And just like I showed you with padding top, you could do border top, see the results, and just have the border right there. Border bottom would probably look a little bit better on this. You could do it that way. But we're just going to keep border. The same exact thing goes for margin. So margin and padding are very similar. The difference is that it pushes the element away from other elements, including the window itself. So it keeps adding more and more, so we'll do 150, and it just keeps pushing it farther and farther away on the top, left, right, and bottom. So if there are any elements around it, it will push those elements away as well. Now, you don't just have to say margin dash top, margin dash right, margin dash bottom. There's actually a faster way to go about doing this. So let's say you want to have the top and bottom to be, say, 10 pixels of margin, and on the left and right, you want 50 pixels of margin. So you see here, there's 10 pixels, and down here, inspect the element one more time. There's also 10 pixels of margin. On the left and right, there's 50 pixels of margin. So the first one is for top and bottom. The second one is for left and right. You can do the same exact thing with padding. So we can do 0 for padding. And then there's 0 padding on the left and right, 25 padding on the top and bottom. Another way, if you want to actually have each side to have 4 different pixel sizes, you can do 0, you can do 5px, and you can do 100px. It would look like this. So at the top, we have 25. It goes counterclockwise, or I'm sorry, clockwise. So at the top, you have 25 pixels, 0 pixels, 5 pixels, and 100 pixels. Again, it is shown when you inspect the element. It's demonstrated right here. 25, 0, 5, 100. So it's that easy, just that straightforward to do. The best thing you can do is just practice this over and over again. It's really complicated to fully understand how all these pieces fit together, especially when you have multiple elements trying to interact with each other. It just takes practice. So the more you practice, the better you'll get.